Ladies and gentlemen, what are we looking at here? This is drinking water in the Netherlands. I've said this before in a previous video, but my country, the Netherlands, has a very unique way of filtering drinking water or tap water. We do not use chemicals such as fluoride or chlorine. In fact, the expensive water that you can buy in bottles in a supermarket is has the same quality as drinking water in the Netherlands. And that is because in the Netherlands we use the dunes to filter our drinking water. And in this place you can see such a system. So where I am today is a place called the Amsterdamse Waterleidingduinen. And it means basically the Amsterdam tap water dunes. And here, using the groundwater, the drinking water of the people in the Netherlands is being filtered. Until it's basically completely drinkable. And the whole area contains some interesting wildlife as well. So I hope to give you a brief impression. One thing that's funny is that Dutch people flush their toilets. Dutch people shower with water that is the same quality as bottled mineral water that in a lot of countries people pay a lot of money for. And this is possible because of our water filtration system that basically uses the sandy soils of the dunes to naturally filter the water until it's completely clear and drinkable. Here's a fun fact. Did you know that mineral water in bottles is subject to 50 different tests? While the drinking water in the Netherlands is subject to 800 different tests. And doesn't contain any additives. No chlorine, no fluoride, not anything. It's a quite innovative system. And as far as I know, we're the only ones that use this system to filter our tap water. But I, at my home, can use my tap water to fill an aquarium and even keep fish in it if I want to. It's that good. Now what's interesting is this whole place is almost like a natural reserve dedicated to filtering the drinking water. I said it before, but it's called the Amsterdamse Waterleidingduinen. It's basically like the Amsterdam tap water dunes. And this place is owned by a company. Although if you pay a small fee, you can actually enter their lands and look around, because there's some nature here, there's some forest. And what's funny is if we look down here, we even see some fish here in the filtration system. That's funny. I don't know much about fish, but let me show you. What's funny is if you look closer, you see an arrangement of fish. Funny, huh? This guy here in the background, by the way, is my dad. It's my father. He literally agreed to drive me here, but he doesn't like being on YouTube. So I'm not going to film him up close. Just so you guys know, that's my father. Alright, let's move on. This place has more cool features too. A bit of forest. Let me have a look. Now, as we can see behind me, this place has some beautiful and old trees. Just like this weird old oak tree here behind me. Can you see it? That's pretty cool, huh? Now, for the people who follow this channel and who are interested in insects and stuff, I do have some bad news. It's currently mid-September, and in about 2 to 3 weeks, temperatures will go down and autumn will arrive. This is basically about the last week of summer that we have left. Many insects have gone to hibernation, so I don't expect to see many insects anymore. It's more or less the end of the season. Okay guys, shh. Here around the corner I've seen something that I haven't filmed before on my channel, but they're very shy. Let me show you. Now I do have to be honest, it feels a little bit like cheating. Why? Because in this area in the Netherlands, it's so touristic. The wildlife has gotten used to humans. So in this particular place, the deer don't run away like they do in the rest of the Netherlands. You could say that they're almost tame. Still, I don't recommend approaching them up close. These deer have antlers and they can become confused or act startled or aggressive if you approach them really close. Always keep a respectful distance toward wildlife. Despite that, this is probably the best place in the Netherlands to see deer, because the huge amount of tourists here have made them essentially tame. Hey, I'm not complaining. I have my close-up. A wild deer is a deer, whether it's afraid of humans or not. It's cool, right? So this one has antlers, ladies and gentlemen. And he doesn't seem to be very afraid of me. Now that's new on my channel. I film a lot of wild butterflies and moths, but deer is actually new for me in a video. The European fallow deer, or the common fallow deer, scientific name Dama dama, is a species of deer that can be found in the Netherlands. Interestingly, although the species is native to Europe, it was humans that have expanded their range globally by introducing them everywhere as game animals. Actually, they were not native to Western Europe at all, until the Romans introduced them here. The Romans probably introduced them for the same reason, them being game animals that have highly sought after meat. Only bucks have antlers, which are broad and shovel-shaped from 3 years of age. In the first 2 years, the antler is a single spike. They are grazing animals. Their preferred habitat is mixed woodland and open grassland. The European fallow deer was native to most of Europe during the last interglacial. In the Pleistocene, or the last ice age, the distribution was restricted to the Middle East and refugia in parts of the Mediterranean. Humans began to expand the distribution of this deer in the last 2 millennia by introducing it throughout Europe and further afield. Fallow deer were an important source of meat in the Paleolithic cultures, as is shown by the bones. We're talking about 200,000 to 400,000 years ago, by the way. European fallow deer seem to have a preference for older forest with dispersed areas of grass, trees and a variety of other vegetation. Male fallow deer are highly competitive and will use their antlers to fight off other males in order to obtain resources such as fertile females or areas rich in food. As you can see, I'm approaching these deer rather closely. See, it's a few meters away from me. Here's the deer. And it doesn't give a shit about my presence. Even while I'm talking out loud, they don't run away. That's what makes this place unique. Of course, it's the result of the fact that there's many humans here. Some people probably illegally feed them. Despite that, they are in every respect wild animals. They are not being managed. They are literally just wild deer that belong here. In the Netherlands, deer are quite common. It's just that you rarely see them because they're usually so shy. And it's only the fact that these are not shy that makes them highly visible, and then you realize how many there are. This is typical for sandy soils. We also see a lot of pine trees here. Pine trees are perfectly adapted for scarce conditions with little water, so they thrive here. Bit of pine forest, and we also see oaks. I would not call the season autumn just yet, but as you can see, many of the trees are coloring rusty brown already. This is the start of an irreversible process. Some of them are already dropping leaves. So I imagine that in about 1 month, all the trees are going to be yellow and brown and red, and some of them will have dropped the leaves. Kind of makes me sad. I'm going to be honest, as a butterfly, moth and insect lover, the coming of autumn always makes me sad because there's so little for me to see. I love going outdoors to spot butterflies, and in winter this is effectively not possible. It's my least favorite season. I belong in a tropical country, man. In the rainforest where there's always insects. For my insect breeding projects, winter is also a terrible time. I don't have leaves to feed my caterpillars. I often take a break from YouTube in that time. And that time is going to be soon. My YouTube is my everything. My moth breeding hobby is my everything. So it kind of pains me to think that soon the big winter is coming. But at least we still have this video to enjoy. So people, we started out in the forest, but everything is looking a little bit more sandy around me. That's because we are headed towards the beach. That's right. We started in the forest, but we will end up in the dunes, and then we will find the beach and the ocean, I think. I don't know, it's the first time I visit this place. I don't know what to expect. But these sandy soils, especially where some of these yellow flowers are blooming, is where you're going to see a nice assortment of butterflies. Even though it's late in the year, some of the last butterflies of the season are now on the wing. Yeah, some of them are preparing for hibernation. Some of them are quickly laying eggs, and then the larvae will hibernate soon. But it's not too late to show you some close-ups of, well, some of the latest butterflies you can see in the Netherlands before autumn is arriving. Let me show you. It's gonna be cool. Lycaena fleas, or the common copper, seems to have been present in this area. A true beauty. One of my favorite butterflies to look at in the Netherlands. Their orange color is incredibly bright. Aricia agestris, or the brown argus, seems to be present here too today, although this specimen has some odd looking wing damage. I think I can blame a bird for that, perhaps. How odd. Yep, here's more trees, slowly getting their golden colors instead. What's interesting is that not only the deer here in this place are incredibly tame, so are the wild foxes. This place is famous for its almost tame wild foxes that will approach people up close. Still, I don't know if we're going to see one today. It's possible, but the foxes are a bit more rare to see than the deer. Despite the fact that they're not very afraid of humans, they're still a bit more scarce in this area, so you have to be lucky. Oh my god. Here in the water is a ridiculous amount of water striders. Can you see them? Water striders are insects, they're hemipterans, I believe, that float on the surface of the water. They don't sink because they don't break the water surface tension. And they're essentially predators that feed on insects that accidentally fall into the water or are in the process of drowning. They can also scavenge in some cases, or hunt and kill other aquatic small wildlife. Whoop! That's so many of them. Alright, ladies and gentlemen, I am thrilled because we just saw a new butterfly species that I've never shown you before on my channel. It's the first time I'm filming them for YouTube, and that's because it's a pretty rare species in the Netherlands. But I was walking through the grasslands and I noticed it. Let me introduce you to a rarity that I'm happy to see. Ta-da! Wow, now this is actually a rarity. Lasiomata megera, or the wall brown, is a species I rarely see in my outdoor videos. In fact, it's the first time I'm able to film it for YouTube. This butterfly has a very wide distribution in the Western Palearctic and is found from Ireland to West Asia to North Africa. What's interesting about this species is that decades ago this butterfly was one of the most common butterflies in the Netherlands, but today it is among the rarest. Since the beginning of the 21st century in Europe, this species has started to decline sharply. This once widespread butterfly has undergone a massive decline in its range. In some countries it has declined over 95%. Very little of the original populations are left, and the once common butterfly is now a rarity. Evidence suggests the butterfly is dying out because of warmer weather, and it is causing generations to hatch out too late in the years to survive. Or that is what scientists say, at least. I quote from a news source. The disappearance of the wall brown, Lasiomata megera, from swaths of southern England is used as an example here, but it has mystified conservationists for decades. But new evidence suggests that the butterfly is dying out because of warmer weather and is causing generations to hatch out too late in the year to survive. In recent years, instead of the offspring of the wall butterflies found in July and August spending winter as caterpillars before emerging as a butterfly the following year, warm conditions encourage the caterpillars to quickly turn into a butterfly instead by September and October. By emerging so late in the year, these butterflies fall into what researchers are calling a developmental trap. By autumn, it is too cold and there are no suitable plants for their offspring to eat before winter. In effect, these autumn butterflies are a lost generation, leaving no caterpillars that can survive to become butterflies the following spring. So to summarize this information, insects are cold-blooded, and because they are cold-blooded, the environmental warmth, it regulates their body heat and metabolism. The warmer the environment is, the faster they grow. However, due to climate change, the environment is now often so warm that caterpillars develop into butterflies the same year they were supposed to hibernate instead. Slow-growing caterpillars don't often have the time to develop into butterflies late in the year, forcing them to hibernate until next spring. But instead, the warmth allows them to grow so fast they turn into butterflies near autumn. And these butterflies are effectively doomed, since autumn has very little to offer for butterflies. Butterflies emerging around October and September have very little chances of breeding successfully. Temperatures become cold, and flowers and food sources slowly disappear. In Britain, for example, the wall brown has decreased by 86% since 1976, vanishing from much of central and southern England, but it has survived at coastal sites. In research published in the international journal Oikos, enclosed small pots of captive-bred wall-brown caterpillars were placed at coastal and inland sites in Belgium of similar latitude during the summer. All the caterpillars placed at inland sites quickly developed to become a third generation of wall-brown butterflies which emerged in the autumn. At coastal sites, however, just 42.5% developed into the third generation, with the majority of them following the species' traditional life cycle, spending winter as a caterpillar before emerging as a butterfly next year. The scientists found that the microclimate at inland sites was on average 1.2 degrees Celsius warmer than at the coastal sites, suggesting that the cooler conditions by the sea enable the butterfly to maintain its traditional life cycle. While climate change should benefit many sun-loving butterfly species, the fate of the wall brown could be shared by many insects that are struggling to adapt their lifestyles quickly enough to rapid changes in temperature. Of course, the decline of a species is often linked to not one but multiple factors. Apart from climate change causing the wall brown's decline, another theory is that increased nitrogen pollution is changing vegetation and stopping its caterpillars from feeding successfully. But one thing is for sure, this species is not doing too well right now. Hopefully the species is able to evolve and adapt to the changing climate at some point in the future, or things are not really looking great for this species. Caterpillars feed on grasses, and their habitat are quarries, cliffs, rocky grasslands, ravines, vineyards and the dunes. Okay. One thing that's funny about this species is they are so confident in their camouflage. Sometimes if you're careful, you can even handle them. Let's see if that's possible. Not many wild butterflies will let you handle them. But these ones can in some cases. Can you see it? Oh, yeah, there you go. That's funny, this species of butterfly is almost tame. For me it's always easy to handle them. This is very hard to do with any other species in the wild. But this species trusts their own camouflage so much. They don't care about being touched. They're like, oh, they can't see me. Let me just sit still on this person. That's funny. Hij kan hem gewoon aanraken. Zoveel vertrouwen heeft hij in zijn schutkleur. Hij gaat niet eens weg. Now, slowly I'm heading towards the beach and the ocean. What's funny is it isn't a sunny day at all. As you can see, the weather is very cloudy. The sky is grey, as it is most of the time in the Netherlands. But still, I spotted a lot of butterflies and insects, so maybe you don't always need sunshine to see rare butterflies. Oh, a bird of prey. I don't know if you can see it. Probably not. Never mind then. Oh. Weet ik niet. Wow, ladies and gentlemen. I just found a pretty rare insect. And it's a big one. This is a mole cricket. Believe it or not. It's a pretty rare find. It's the first time in my life I've actually found one. And these live underground for most of their life. So to see one in the field is a pretty rare occurrence. Let's look up closer. That's pretty unique. Wow, now this is incredible. Grylotalpa, commonly known as the European mole cricket, is widespread in Europe. The scientific name is derived from gryllus, meaning a cricket, and a talpa, which means a mole. And it's descriptive because of the fine dense fur, which is covered by, and its subterranean habits, and because of the mole-like forelegs adapted for digging, a good example of convergent evolution. These animals are theoretically not rare in the wild, but finding one is somewhat of a rare occurrence. Why? That's because they live for most of their lives underground, just like moles, for example. Moles are common animals, but finding one is a challenge. The forelegs are powerful and modified for digging. Can you see it? They almost look like the paws of a mole. They are very strong and used to burrow underground. This specimen did appear to be missing a significant amount of its legs, and a small part of its antennae too. Perhaps it has sustained an attack by a predator or was damaged in some way, since its body appeared to be old and many of its limbs were damaged or missing. Favored habitats include damp, rich soils, floodplains, reservoir edges, irrigated and well-fertilized fields, and vegetable gardens. Adults and nymphs live underground throughout the year in extensive tunnel systems that may reach a depth of over a meter in winter. They are omnivorous, feeding on roots, tubers and rhizomes, and a range of soil invertebrates. They often leave neat circular holes in tuberous plants. The males occasionally produce a soft churring song from within a specially constructed chamber in the burrow system. This chamber acts to amplify the song, which is believed to be used for attracting females. The sounds are typically produced on warm, mild evenings in early spring. The species is considered endangered in many places, but also a pest in other places where it's abundant. An interesting contrast. Alright people, let's put it back where I found it. There you go. Well, there you go, ladies and gentlemen. Here's the ocean. Now, after the tide rises, it leaves these temporary pools here with salt water, and in them you can find cool creatures sometimes. Yep, here it is, ladies and gentlemen, the hermit crab. Well, it was all for today, folks. And it was potentially one of the last videos this year in which we saw wild butterflies. Because they're gonna disappear soon. But we saw a few rarities, so I hope this season we went out with a bang. Let's go back. Ladies and gentlemen, you must be careful. Behind me in the dunes I saw something really exciting. A fox. A wild fox. Vulpes. And it's not a species I expected to film on my YouTube channel, but if we're careful I'm gonna try and get as close as possible to get a close-up of this animal. Wow! Meet the red fox, Vulpes. This channel is usually about insects, but mammal lovers will like this episode. The red fox, Vulpes, is actually a common species in the Netherlands. And yet, it's very hard to see them most of the time, because the animals are so shy. They usually hide completely out of sight from humans. In fact, this is the first time in my life I've seen a wild fox in the Netherlands, despite them being considered a common species. However, this particular area is famous for its wildlife that is not very afraid of humans. Neither the deer or foxes here run away from humans. And that's why this fox allows itself to be filmed and photographed by me, instead of hiding from me. Red foxes are omnivores with a highly varied diet. Their diet does include a lot of meat, and they will pretty much grab any prey that's big enough for them, from waterfowl and birds, to mice and rodents, reptiles, insects, fish and more. However, on some occasions they also eat plant material, and in particular they are fond of fruit, such as cherries, blackberries, blueberries, apples, plums and other fruits they can find. Sometimes they are also known to scavenge. Foxes are not super rare in the Netherlands, yet you rarely see them because they're extremely shy and scared of humans. But this place, the Amsterdamse Waterleidingduinen, is famous for its foxes that are not very afraid of humans and will show themselves in plain sight. So we were lucky to find one today. But it was also a little bit of cheating, because just like the deer, the foxes in this area are very familiar with humans and they're not afraid. So it's easier to film them than in other places in the Netherlands. Ja. Ja, dat is van die stinken. Ja, kan wel. Je kan drinken halen of zo. Well people, I'm going home now, it's getting late, bye bye. I hope you enjoyed this magical outdoor adventure of my web series titled NatureVlogs. Find the playlist for more content like this video. And see you next time in another episode of NatureVlogs with Bart Coppens. Oh, and don't forget, this channel is demonetized and making videos like this costs me a lot of time and effort and money, so it helps if you support us. Let me tell you a little bit more about that right now. Ladies and gentlemen, I must say, thank you guys so much for watching the show. It means a lot to me that there are so many people who enjoy watching the videos that I make for them. I put a lot of effort in them, so I really hope that people think they are entertaining. It costs a lot of time, you know, a lot of time. Anyway, before we end the video, there's one announcement, and it's the same announcement that I usually make at the end of my videos. But my YouTube channel is demonetized. What does that mean, to be demonetized? It means YouTube does not support my channel financially. It means that when I upload a video, YouTube is not paying me a single dollar for it in return. It means that when I work hard, when I travel across the country, take my camera, my equipment, even take time off work to make videos, I'm investing a lot of effort and time and resources in making my videos that people like you like to watch. But I basically don't get anything for it in return, from YouTube that is. Therefore, I've resorted to begging on the internet for donations. And it's working. Right now, there's about 90 people who donate to this channel every month. They're my loyal fans, and they think my videos are worth a tip or a donation. And I have to remind people that this channel is 100% crowdfunded. All the money I raise online, all the funds that I raise when people donate to my channel, are the funds that I use to make videos. The more budget I have, the more awesome and cool videos I can make for you. Because the bigger my budget, the more spectacular are the things that I can do. With a lot of budget, I can travel very far. I can book a place to sleep, far away from my home, and show you the coolest natural reserves in my country. If I fail to raise the funds, then it's going to be quite difficult for me to make entertaining stuff for the people who like my show. Therefore, I must say, if you like my channel, if you enjoy my videos, and if you want this YouTube channel to continue, think about subscribing to my Patreon, or donating via PayPal, LiberaPay, or there's many other options that you can find in the description of this video. It's kind of like tipping a waiter. If you like the service, you can make a contribution for them, and it will help them with their work. It's the same for me. I apologize for begging on the internet, but there is no company out there helping me. YouTube isn't helping me. Basically, what I get from my fans is the only money I make from this channel. And we live in a capitalist world where spending a lot of time and energy on something unfortunately costs money. I know that sucks. I just have to remind people, of course, if you do not donate, if you're not willing or able to, you are no less of a viewer. I appreciate everybody who is watching my stuff. Sorry, I just have to throw the reminder out there. It keeps my channel alive. I don't have any other alternative. Thank you guys for watching and I hope to see you in my next video. Bye bye! Oh, by the way, before we go, patrons are now eligible for mugs, stickers, posters, t-shirts and other merchandise that I designed myself, using my own photographs of my own moths. So if you haven't subscribed to my Patreon yet, you're missing out. Thank you.